Sony is making a massive mistake with the God of War franchise, one that has fans furious. The series has never been bigger. The God of War reboot and Ragnarok sold millions of copies each, bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars. By all accounts, God of War is one of Sony's most valuable properties. And yet, behind the doors of PlayStation Studios, there's something strange going on. Sony loves to celebrate the franchise's roots, while at the same time acting like they want to bury the original saga. I'm Ty from Partially Correct, and today we're asking the burning question: why hasn't Sony remastered the original God of War saga? And I think I might have found the answer. Sony PlayStation is playing with your emotions. They've done it with Bloodborne, and now they're doing it to the original God of War saga. They dangle this false hope right in front of our faces with endless rumors of a remastered version or a potential PC release, but nothing ever seems to materialize. This cycle has been going on for years, but why does nothing ever change? Simple. PlayStation want to erase the original Greek saga, and with it, the old version of Kratos. Now, this sounds like a crazy statement, but it's the truth that Sony is trying to tell us. Sony has worked incredibly hard to rebrand Kratos, the game, and even the stories they tell. The old version of Kratos, the Ghost of Sparta, was a vengeful brute, and a character that wouldn't let anything stop him from achieving his goal. The new God of War is older, wiser, and a father, a far more well-rounded and emotional character. This is a God of War people can connect with, a character Sony can use to reach a wider audience, and more importantly, a character that they can incorporate into other revenue streams, such as a heavily rumored live-action series. Kratos is the face of Sony PlayStation, and you can't have a vengeful, womanizing, bloodthirsty demigod as the face of the company. Not anymore, and especially not in 2025. So how do you go about burying the original Greek saga whilst keeping it a part of the storytelling? Time heals all wounds, and Sony knows this. If you don't remaster a game, or in this case a series, it dies within a generation. Many of us watching right now grew up during a time where the PS2 and PS3 were at its peak. We've had the opportunity to play the original saga on the original consoles, but what about younger gamers? How many of these gamers still have access to these consoles that were released over 20 years ago? And even if you do, good luck getting a copy of the original Greek saga for a fair price in 2025, because it will shock you how expensive it is. Okay, slight brag, I have played every single God of War game ever released. But what I didn't know is that this is actually a stack of generational wealth, and you might have one of these at home. So how much do you think it costs to play the entire Greek saga in 2025? Well, here's the answer according to the CEX website. For our non-British viewers, this is a chain of stores around the UK that sells used and refurbished tech, games, DVDs, and stuff like that. So to pick up the original God of War on PS2 in 2025, it's going to cost you 20 British pounds or $27 US, making it officially 4 times more expensive than the price I originally paid for it back in 2010. God of War 2 on the PS2 is going to cost you 18 pounds or $24 US. If you wanted to get the PS3 remastered version of both these games, it's going to cost you 32 British pounds or roughly $42 US. So slightly cheaper than getting the PS2 version. God of War 3 on the PS3 is a reasonable £5, and you can pick up God of War Ascension for £12. But this is where things get ridiculous. If you wanted to pick up the PS3 remaster of Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta, both which were originally released for the PSP, it's going to cost you a whopping £65 or $88 US. Now that makes it 6 times more expensive than the price I originally paid for it back in 2017. So if you wanted to play the original Greek saga in 2025, it's going to cost you between 114 to 120 British pounds. So as you can see, with a second-hand market like this, without remastering God of War, you effectively killed the Greek saga. So in order to turn Kratos into the new poster boy for PlayStation, they've effectively had to erase his past. And unfortunately, there's nothing we can really do about it. So lower your expectations for remastered God of War Saga, because I think Sony sees this as a very risky business decision, and probably not worth the drama. Do you think this is a good business decision by Sony? Or do you think remastering the original Greek saga is completely worth the backlash? Let me know down in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.